welcome to my podcast. This is BRIA Jamie, and I have a little message that I want to share this morning because it's been on my mind, it's been on my heart as I've been working through this. I just sat down with a cup of coffee, which I'm drinking coffee today. You guys know me. Every time I'm pregnant, I just go through such a weird phase, like with coffee, and I can't stand coffee, but I'm sitting here with coffee in my bed. It's early. It's like 9 a.m. Fabian is watching Soul in the other room. And I'm like, I just need some time this morning, to be at my computer, have some spirit time and, have a cup of coffee in bed. I want breakfast in bed. I was like, I just want breakfast in bed. And I thought about sitting here and recording this podcast because I have not wanted to upload it. I'm at this point of resistance, and this is what I want to talk about, resistance, because I think a lot of us can feel this come up in so many ways. It's like all of a sudden it comes time to do something and you just feel this no, I can't, or you get sick. And that's what resistance is in our bodies. We physically block ourselves. And I think we have to be real with ourselves what we are resisting. So I have been feeling because these episodes are so vulnerable and I'm completely sharing raw feelings, raw things that I'm going through, that is really, that's a lot, that's not everybody does that, right? And I think that there's this little voice in my head that's so-and-so might hear this and they might judge you. Oh, well, what if this person hears it? What are they going to say to you? Are they, what about this, and all these things, right? And it's I guess this is also tied into being vulnerable, because being vulnerable is, there's a whole spectrum of things when it comes to being vulnerable, right? You could be vulnerable in a relationship, where you're speaking your truth. You could be vulnerable at a job. You could be vulnerable with yourself, with a therapist, with, and during birth, moms, vulnerable is such a thing. And I think that there's been times in our lives as children or just younger in our teens where that vulnerability was put to shame, where it was judged, where we were, we got hurt because we were vulnerable. And then we learned to shut down after that. And, sometimes, look, taking criticism is not for everyone, right? There's some people that if you were to put them in showbiz and they were to get some criticism, that would be the end of them. And then there's some people that can really have a backbone and not give a fuck about it, and I'm kind of somewhere in the middle, to be honest. Yeah, I share my life and I put a lot of my stuff out there, but there's still a lot that people don't know about me. And that's where I so badly want to share, but there's this resistance that comes up because of fear, because I'm afraid to be vulnerable. And it's something I'm working through, and I'm sure there's a lot of you that are working through this as well in different areas or in different ways, and the ways that resistance can show up. It can look like a lot of things, I mentioned a few in the beginning, getting sick for one, or, there becomes actual roadblocks, your car won't start kind of thing. Or something gets in the way. And that's how resistance subconsciously shows up consciously. So here I am, I have 3 episodes I want to put out. And I've also been thinking, who's my audience? Who's going to be listening to this? How do I share this moving forward once it is out? So this is going to be the 4th episode, and whoever hears it, I think it's going to be, it's what really weighs on my heart is like, share this, like share everything. There's people that will connect to you in these ways. And you know what? Fuck whoever doesn't. Like, what do I have to lose? There's always going to be people out there in the world that aren't going to like what you're doing, what you're saying. And as for me, like in entertainment, in showbiz, like I have a calling to show up and share vulnerably raw material. And I think that's been my thing for years. And I kind of stopped, I do stop, like I take breaks. And I think those are the times, honestly, when I get in my head and I'm not in flow. Because I get worried about other people. It stops becoming about me and my soul and my path and my spirit. It becomes about everyone else's. Well, this person's not doing that. Well, maybe I should think about, like, well, what if they don't like me? Or, like, what if I don't get hired for this one thing? Like, but my heart's telling me otherwise, yet I'm blocking that. By stopping, by letting that resistance kind of take over. Sometimes you just got to be with the resistance. Like, I've noticed this the past week because I'm like, okay, it's taking me longer than usual. I've been, like, putting it off, editing these episodes and putting them up. And then I'm like, oh, let me take that part out. Let me just take that part out. Because what if my mom hears this? Or what if this person hears this? And what if they start texting me or telling me things? And I don't want to deal with that, right? I don't want to deal with that drama. I don't want to have to explain to people or defend myself, right? And I don't have to defend myself. The other day I had posted on my TikTok and everywhere else too that, I was like being clever with the tag caption thing because that's what gets people. And I was like, it was like, I take my 8-month-old to his first audition for Target, or 8-month-old auditions for Target. I think that's what it says, right? And look, there's going to be half the people that don't approve of that, and there's half the people that do, right? You're either for show business or you're not. And people that aren't in it, they don't really get it. They don't really understand, like, how it all works and this and that. There's so much fear around it. There's so much, oh my God, sharing your kids online or, this and that. But that's my calling. I feel called to share my kids online. I feel called right now. Okay, that's how I feel right now. I have felt this way for a long time. I was like, I married an actor. Okay, we're in the business of showing up. Like, I don't feel like hiding my kids. I feel like we're meant to shine. We're supposed to be out there. That's how I feel. You don't need to feel that way. Someone else doesn't need to feel that way. But that's how I feel like we are best expressing ourselves. Like, look, I do a lot of metaphysical work to find out if these things are in alignment with our best divine self-expression. For my son as well, because I have full responsibility over him right now, so I can check his records. I can figure out if that's in alignment, and it is. So I'm not worried about that, but other people are, and do I let that affect me? A little bit. Should I? Probably not, but who cares about shoulds, right? Anyway, what I'm trying to say, though, is that there's always going to be people out there that don't approve. There's always going to be people out there that have something to say that's negative or doesn't align with what you think. And it can create a lot of resistance for us to do certain things that we really, our soul and our heart wants to do. So I think we have to be real with ourselves about that. And that's why I was like, I'm just going to get comfortable. I'm going to share this with everybody because maybe that will help me get this all out there faster. Not that there's a rush either. I've been sitting with this resistance, but I'm like, you know what? I have these goals and I'm at this point in my life. It's my number 8 year. It's all about success, business. I already went through my faith and spiritual year, and I understand that part of, it all comes through together, right? So it's like it all builds on top, and as we gain more life experience and grow older and this and that. So I'm ready to share, and I don't want to keep being in this pattern of taking forever to do things that I say I want to do because of resistance. So my little note for everybody is, if you're feeling resistance, take some time to be with it, but also decide and discern if that resistance is something that you want to bypass, like you want to get through, you want to override and be like, I'm not going to be in that. Okay, I understand where it's coming from. This happened, and or this person said this, and that's what's making me feel that way, but I'm not going to let that win, right? I'm going to move on, and I'm going to be in my best self-expression and do the thing. Or if it's something that it's trying to tell you, like, oh, something deeper, it's more larger than you think. So, resistance and being vulnerable, it's a thing for sure. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, you guys. Yeah, I'm excited to share these episodes. I really am. And I've been building this community of moms, of women. That's my intention. More moms and more women in my life. And that we can all commune together, and share these things and without judgment, because I think that's the thing, that's the ultimate fear, that someone is going to judge us and we might be alone and not have friends. I think that's a big one for me, which I could talk about more later. But I wanted a place to be real. And this is that space, is having a podcast where I'm able to share my voice, my authenticity, because that's what I'm stepping more into myself. And I'm sure there's others out there. So let me know if you'd ever want to be on this podcast and have a conversation. I would love to do that. I want to start doing that as well. So I have a lot of intentions for this, but I'm also very much in flow and just kind of feeling out how this is going to play out. I just felt called to sit here and record this right now on my phone, not even at my desk with my whole little mic setup. Like, it's fine. I'm recording it on my phone. I'm not driving, so there's not all that background noise like in the first one, but here it is, guys. You guys are going to hear the real BRIA, whether you like it or not. And you know what? That's the cool part about life. We don't have to listen to certain people. We don't have to be around certain people. We don't have to follow certain people if we don't align with them. We don't have to like everything somebody's about. We're not always going to agree, but that's what makes it fun here on earth. And that's why we realize how different we are in so many ways. And it's so beautiful. I just did a relationship reading for a client yesterday and friend of mine, and it was so fulfilling. And, just to learn more about relationships in general. And as I've been doing the work with Soul Realignment and Andrrea Hess, my teacher, I've learned so much. Like, gosh, you guys, I can't recommend Andrrea Hess enough. Just even her program. Like, I think everyone should do it just for the sake of like knowledge of our soul and just the way the world works. She has such a extreme knowledge on it, and it's from all the work in the Akashic records and speaking with other people and clients. And, we really learn a lot about each other. And one of the cards from my favorite deck that I pick, Ask Your Guides deck by Sonia Choquette, it says that, like, on Earth, relationships are the hardest classroom to be in. And I totally can see that, right? Because we are dealing with some other person that has a ton of other stuff, right? And this is the one that we get to really figure out more of who we are. In relationships, they either last or they don't last. It doesn't really matter. We're meant to be in relationships with people that help bring out our best divine self-expression, where we're able to share our authentic self and be free. So if things aren't aligning in that way, yes, you can always fix them. Fix, I don't really love that word, but you can always work on them. And it's just such an opportunity for us to grow and learn more about ourselves and step more fully into our gifts. So, little notes from me. I'm really excited to share all these things and my thoughts on life as I figure out life on these podcast episodes. Like, have you guys ever noticed, like, when you talk, you figure out a lot of things on your own? That's why I love talking to a therapist. It happens a lot where I'm just like, oh my God, I have that download now. Or oh, that's why this. So I'm super excited to share with you guys. I hope you enjoy listening. If you do, subscribe and leave a good review. And if you don't, I would appreciate that you just keep it to yourself, because we just need more love out here and people who do align and create a beautiful community. But if you would also like to be on this podcast eventually, please send me a DM. I have a few socials. It's at BRIA Jamie for Instagram, and on my other one that's mainly more feminine, womanhood based, moms and stuff, is at sacred.soulcare, because that's what we work on here. Living a sacred, soul-led life and caring for our soul. It's deeper than self-care. So, love you guys. Stay blessed and have a beautiful, beautiful day.